This is a report in regard to Robert J. Moore's endeavor to, number one, procure his possessions out of the residence at 1720 North Sedgwick Street, Chicago, Illinois, which Richard Danagelis has been occupying for ever many years. And in regard to RJM, hereinafter Robert J. Moore, RJM's efforts to intervene and or file an amicus petition in case number 2014-M1701473. RJM spent numerous hours writing up the initial component of this document is titled Proposed Order of Amicus Petitioner / Petitioner to Intervene, Robert J. Moore of 12-10-14. Robert J. Moore on 12-9 got a conference, had to seek RJM because an order from Sidney Jones. And this chronicling, this report is going to be updated and or superseded with subsequent reports to fill in some of the blanks, but the roughest outline at this juncture in 5 minutes or less is that RJM spent at least 5 to 7 or 8 hours at least in terms of preparing this petition to intervene after researching his amicus petition and the petition to intervene in the Chancery case, and then putting down facts, various facts, starting to enumerate the counts, and otherwise doing whatever research was necessary to try to get this petition to intervene filed on the 10th of December of 2014, because no one had ever been provided, notwithstanding all the demands RJM had made, to know what the first possibility of eviction was, what that would be. So RJM had to try to secure his belongings and secure whatever interests are involved in the amicus and or petition to intervene on the 10th. So RJM, because of an order from Judge Sidney Jones of 9-6-13 in case number 11-M1-013782, RJM had to anticipate that he wouldn't be permitted to enter the building to no-fee file this petition / amicus, hereinafter referred to as petition or amicus, and to serve a courtesy copy on the court in room 1302 and whatever parties would be present. So RJM then secured, invited John Dezendrowski, 219-448-0346, his phone number. He's got a property on West Warner Street, something like 2200, and a property on Oakley. And RJM RJM asked Mr. Dezendrowski, will you, since you are an interested party in terms of the unjust enrichment, the windfall that has emanated from what evidently counts exploitation of Richard Danagelis, and that he was involved in the referral that resulted in this prevention of Danagelis being evicted, and also the reception of $50,000 thus far in windfall to Danagelis from the mortgage foreclosure fraud and title activity. So RJM invited Mr. Dezendrowski at a time when RJM could have procured the assistance of numerous other people such as Frank Regalato, Ed Regalato, Ronald Baker, Mark Solis, and other individuals such as Keith Wilkes at the LA Fitness to serve these documents. RJM inquired of Mr. Dezendrowski whether Mr. Dezendrowski would escort RJM to the courtroom and or meet RJM at the Daily Center, not to the courtroom, to the Daily Center, and get these documents, no fee filed, stamped, and a courtesy copy served on the judge on the 10th of December of 2014. RJM explains at the time that there are other alternatives. RJM would be foregoing other alternatives if Dezendrowski committed to this, so that if Dezendrowski induced reliance by committing to this proposition, RJM would stand to be injured by his not performing on any commitment that he would make. Dezendrowski then answered in the affirmative, yes, I will escort you or go with you to the Daily Center and or meet you at the Daily Center and execute those acts and accomplish those tasks. And RJM said, well, meet me at 9 o'clock in the morning out where I sleep. And Desmondrowski said, I'll meet you at 8:15 in the morning. RJM said, okay. So at any rate, RJM then finished the documents till 2 o'clock in the morning on the 10th. And but the next thing is Desmondrowski didn't show up at 8:15, didn't show up at 9, didn't show up at 9:30, didn't show up at 10. So RJM delivered a phone message to the voicemail of Desmondrowski. Desmondrowski never showed up at all. RJM delivered another voicemail demanding that Desmondrowski immediately appear, or Desmondrowski would incur all the damages, the consequential damages, and whatever punitive damages from a malicious breach of contract, promissory estoppel, detrimental reliance, and RJM never heard from Desmondrowski. RJM then went to the Richard Daley Center at 11 o'clock, arrived in the basement office. Lieutenant Morundi was there. There was a Sergeant Rader, Sergeant Garrett, and a Deputy Cano. RJM explained what his business was, that he had to go no-fee file these documents, get a stamp copy, and serve that on the clerk, or attempt to, in room 1302, to the extent that would be possible. And Deputy Cano then went and informed RJM that there was a new oral order from Sidney Jones, no written order, that RJM could not enter the building before first being brought to Sidney Jones' courtroom. And RJM then inquired as to where is that written in writing, or how do I know that any such order has actually ever been issued. Deputy Cano informed RJM, you're invited to leave, to depart the property if you see fit. RJM explained, I can't just depart the property. This RJM's understanding constitutes I don't remember, RJM said a felony and a tort, but that RJM was being damaged. Now RJM was subject to a burden to mitigate damages in regard to the tort damages incurred in this development. RJM then, it was told that RJM would have to wait until this judge could meet with RJM. RJM told that the deputy and whoever else was listening, I can't afford to wait till New Year's Eve of 2015. This judge could string me along indefinitely. I can't do that. I've got numerous other things to do. So I'm going to depart. I'll leave a copy here on the counter, and someone like Sergeant Garrett did in Judge Flanagan's courtroom several years ago can just go do this, just go deliver a courtesy copy to the judge, so the judge can't legitimately claim that he never knew RJM was trying to petition into this case. RJM also explained that RJM questioned whether or not the Cook County Sheriff's Department could enforce an order from Judge Jones preventing RJM from accessing courtrooms other than the one over which Judge Jones presides. RJM explained how he didn't see how Sidney Jones, that appeared to be an arrogation of authority by Sidney Jones to control someone else's court docket and someone else's, it was a usurpation as RJM understood it. Anyway, RJM then said, I'll leave a copy of the document on the counter and someone can deliver it. If not, throw it away, whatever. That gives an opportunity to the Cook County Sheriff's Department to mitigate the damages here caused by what RJM's claiming is a constitutional deprivation attributable to someone, whether it's Judge Jones or the Cook County Sheriff's Department or both. And Sergeant Rader said, we're not a delivery service. You can't leave it here, Robert. And RJM then responded, that's the best I can do, that's the best I can do. RJM then went up, left, came back and said, is there a stamp here with the time and the date that RJM can get in these documents to demonstrate that it was here? Sergeant Rader said no. RJM was now left with the burden of mitigating damages. RJM went over to and trying to execute the acts necessary to complete the task, which resulted in RJM's going there in the first place. RJM went over, spent the rest of the salute. So the rest of the next till 5 o'clock over at the FedEx on 29 South LaSalle Street, trying to mitigate damages, calling Gaelick's office, delivered an extensive voicemail into that office about whether their office. RJM then went over to Gaelick's office and explained the situation and gave a courtesy copy to Gaelick's secretary, Karina is her name, clerk, whatever her title is, and RJM explained what RJM had to do and invited her to correct the problem. And then left his number and his email address, as RJM recalls. RJM then went back, and all the phone calls can be taken off that phone at 608-445-5181. As the phone calls RJM made, RJM also endeavored to do things on the internet to try to get this matter resolved, checking the docket frequently to see whether or not there was a new court date entered to make sure that there wasn't an eviction that would come upon RJM where RJM's belongings would be put out on the curb without RJM knowing that they even would have put out on the curb. But at any rate, it got to be 5 o'clock or 4:30, and at that point, Ed Regalado called RJM, and RJM then went to attend to business with Ed Regalato. RJM now, it's Monday, the 15th, and RJM has spent whatever time. It's now 12 o'clock p.m., 12:07 p.m., and RJM has spent the time since at least 11 o'clock trying to get these documents filed to get answers to the following 5 questions. Number one is these are instructions for Ed Regalato. RJM had to write these up in considerable trouble. Here's Ed Regalato right now. Let me just finish this real quick. Ed is now back down here. Has Danigelos been evicted? And then the second one is there a next court date of 20 in the case number? Number 3, how can RJM procure a copy of the court order of 1210, which is a matter of public record? Number 4, the directions for Ed Regalato here. Ed Regalato is now back down here. RJM went with Ed Regalato up to Mr. Gaelick's office, and Mr. Gaelick then, Karina encountered RJM and Ed, sent us to the conference room. Mr. Gaelick came in and said RJM has to leave. RJM, over protest, left. There's no claim to consideration, wait for it for relinquish. Gaelick answered the question, has Danigelos been evicted? No. Is there an next court date? Gaelick said he didn't know. RJM asked him 3 times. RJM said, what do I have to do to get a copy of the court order, which is public record? There's no attorney-client privilege in any way that's involved in this. And Gaelick said, finally after the third, first he said, no, he can't give it to you. Finally, the third time, he didn't answer one way or another. But RJM said RJM needs to get his possessions. RJM informed Gaelick that RJM has a computer, numerous documents that have much importance in terms of documenting various matters in which RJM is involved, and that he needed that and other belongings, and that RJM was considering filing a theft report with the police department of the city of Chicago if necessary, so the police would go over there, do what's necessary, so that then Danigelos would have to refuse to, if he's hiding in the building and not answering the door, to refuse to comply with the police order, and out of that fear of the consequence of that, he might answer the door. RJM explained that RJM been over at least 15 times. The possession's been there for 13 months. It's now been at least something like 6 months before RJM was even able to access the building at all. And Gaelick then informed RJM there's no eviction that's pending, and that RJM should make a list of all the items. RJM said, I'll tell you what the items are right now. And Gaelick asked, what's the first date you can get there? RJM said, tonight. RJM said he's going to call Danigelos and get a date set, and then we'll go over there, and someone can come with a station wagon, RJM get his belongings out. That's what Gaelick committed to. RJM asked, is there any indemnification for that? Gaelick didn't answer the question. Gaelick turned and went on the elevator back upstairs. That's the initial report. There's there's tort damages and evident criminal liability in various areas. This will all be put in a proposed verified statement and posted in the website, thirstforjustice.tripod.com/table, contents, uppercase T and C, all the lowercase, no intervening spaces, .html.